12 Democratic candidates crowded the stage in Ohio tonight. They debated all sorts of issues from health care to the economy to Syria.
And one candidate in particular took the most heat. KCAL 9's Chris Holmstrom live in the Satellite Center with a complete wrap-up for us. Chris?
Juan and Crystal, this was the largest presidential primary debate in U.S. history, and it seems like the latest frontrunner, Elizabeth Warren, has a target on her back. The fight is on in the battleground state of Ohio. The first issue at stake, the impeachment probe against President Trump. Recent frontrunner Senator Elizabeth Warren kicked it off.
No one is above the law, and that includes the President of the United States. Impeachment is the way that we establish that this man will not be permitted to break the law over and over without consequences.
This President of the United States has gone so far as to say, since this latest event, that in fact he will not cooperate in any way at all, will not send any witnesses, will not provide any information, will not do anything to cooperate with the impeachment. They have no choice but to move.
Senator Bernie Sanders also weighed in. It's his first major appearance since suffering a heart attack.
The idea that we have a president of the United States who is prepared to hold back national security money to one of our allies in order to get dirt on a presidential candidate is beyond comprehension.
The impeachment probe comes after a whistleblower claims they listened in on a phone call between President Trump and the Ukraine president. In that call, they claim the president threatened to withhold military funding against Ukraine unless they investigated Joe Biden's son, Hunter. He was sitting on the board of a Ukrainian gas company when his father was in office. Hunter spoke with ABC this morning and says he doesn't regret it.
What I regret is not taking into account that there would be a Rudy Giuliani and a president of the United States that would be listening to this ridiculous conspiracy idea.
My son's statement speaks for itself. I did my job. I never discussed a single thing with my son about anything having to do with Ukraine. No one has indicated I have. We've always kept everything separate. Even when my son was the Attorney General of the state of Delaware, we never discussed anything. So there'd be no potential conflict.
Health care, another issue, specifically Medicare for all, a plan supported by Senator Sanders and by Senator Warren. But at what cost?
And that is, costs will go up for the wealthy and for big corporations, and for hardworking middle-class families, costs will go down.
But I do think it is appropriate to acknowledge that taxes will go up. They're going to go up significantly for the wealthy.
At least Bernie's being honest here and saying how he's going to pay for this and that taxes are going to go up. And I'm sorry, Elizabeth, but you have not said that. And I think we owe it to the American people to tell them where we're going to send the invoice.
The chaos in Syria, another hot topic. This comes after the president ordered a pullback of U.S. forces from the region. Now Russian troops have moved in, and U.S. officials have called for a ceasefire.
Would not have withdrawn the troops, and it would not have drawn the additional 1,000 troops who are in Iraq, which are in retreat now, being fired on by Assad's people, and the President of the United States saying, if those ISIS folks escape from the prisons they're in, they'll only go to Europe and won't affect us.
I think that we ought to get out of the Middle East. I don't think we should have troops in the Middle East, but we have to do it the right way, the smart way.
Look, I didn't think we should have gone to Iraq in the first place. I think we need to get out of Afghanistan, but it's also the case that a small number of specialized special operations forces and intelligence capabilities were the only thing that stood between that part of Syria and what we're seeing now, which is the beginning of a genocide and the resurgence of ISIS.
What has happened in Syria is yet again Donald Trump selling folks out. And in this case, he sold out the Kurds, who, yes, fought with us and thousands died in our fight against ISIS.
And it's important to note that President Trump carried Ohio by 8 points in 2016, but in Westerville, a suburb of Columbus, the community has been trending blue. Juan, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks so much, Chris.